Since I could remember, weird things have always happened to my family and me. We lived in a house out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing but woods. My mum told me the family moved out because the husband died in a car wreck down the road. I come to find out later my mum lied to me because I was barely 10 at the time. The husband had a heart attack when he was showering while the family was gone. Before I knew the truth about his death, I always noticed things happening. I could lay in bed at night and hear footsteps coming down the hall, followed by the door handle trying to open. I would always get up and look, and there wouldn't be anything there, other than the footprints in that thick carpet. After we moved out, we found out my room was the 6-month-old daughter's room. My mother was in the shower one day when all of a sudden the shower flipped straight up in the ceiling with the shower head. Now, this shower head was old and rusted, and we could hardly get it to move at all. Nothing bad ever happened, just the man trying to live on in his house. After living in that house for about 3 years, my mum and stepdad decided to pack me and my then 3 brothers and 1 sister up and move to a bigger house closer to town. We lived there for about 3 months. When we noticed weird things happening, it started out the same as the other house, footsteps and the door handles. I was 13 years old and finally had my own room in the basement. I used to sleep with the door open and the lights off. One night I was laying facing the door like always when I started hearing voices. Naturally, I thought it was my mum and stepdad upstairs talking. Then I realised it was 4 AM and no one was up. There was no lights on in the house whatsoever, and I could hear my stepdad snoring through the roof. At this moment I froze with fear. I couldn't look away from the door. The footsteps on the concrete floor and the man's voice getting louder. Then it all stopped. I could see a slightly dark spot in my doorway since the moon was shining through the window. The shape said, "Sleep." Slammed the door and locked it from the inside. Mind you, it was a deadbolt, not a door handle. After the night I kept up, I was playing music on my TV. I locked the door and never slept facing the door. One day while I was at school, Mum was on the computer. The computer was in the sunroom, against the wall opposite to the basement door. We always left the door open. Well, the door closed. Then my mum got up, looked down the stairs, knowing all the kids were at school and my stepdad was a boilermaker working out of town, and opened the door back up. After 10 minutes it closed a little harder again. My mum opened it back up again. About 10 minutes went by and the door slammed so hard that it opened back up and closed again. At that point my mum left it closed, and to this day the door will randomly open and close. I remember I had to miss a day of school my freshman year due to a bad stomach bug. I was laying on the couch, my mum sitting on the recliner. We were watching the morning news. Our 3-year-old boxer, Sasha, had a set of squishy elephant toys on the coffee table. A movement caught my eye and I turned. The toy went flying across the room. My mum and I sat there staring at it. I eventually said, "Did you see that, Mama?" I did. I'm waiting for it to do it again, but it never did. The house got quiet for a couple of years. Nothing major happened, and we had hoped whatever was going on had stopped. Then, one evening, my sophomore year, I went to my friend's house. Leah was her name. I decided, of all things to do, to make a Ouija board. How stupid. But it didn't bother us at the time. Only thing we found out was a 22-year-old woman liked talking to us, and eventually told us to watch out. We didn't think anything of it. Well, a few months later, my mum had a baby girl, Sophia, who is now 3. I slept in bed with mum after my stepfather left for work for another state. Obviously, we were still not over the fact of what was going on. To help out with the newborn also, around 5 AM, when the sun had just started to come up, I felt mum jump straight out of bed and then just stood there. Obviously, I thought something was wrong with the baby, so I jumped up too. Mum had grabbed her phone, was taking pictures with the flash on. She told me a few minutes later a tall shadow was standing by the door, and then walked in, then walked out, and down the hall to the kitchen. No one was in there, or had even out of bed. We eventually calmed down and gone back to sleep. Just 2 hours later, around 7, Mum was changing Sophia's nappy and clothes and noticed 2 scratch marks, looked like, from nails, down her back. Sophia didn't wake up from 3 AM until 7 AM. Mum took pictures and investigated the bed and clothes. There was nothing in the bed or on her shirt, considering how small the baby was. Just a smooth mattress with a smooth flat sheet, nothing to cut. The footsteps and voices continued, but nothing scary like that, for about 3 years. Flash forward to now, I'm 19 years old, married and moved out. Mum had another baby boy, John, now 14 months old, and Sophia, who is 3, talking and sleeping in her big girl bed, in the room she shares with Nicole, my 10-year-old sister. About a month after I got married and moved in with my wife, I got a call while I was on break at work. Mum was scared because Sophia woke up screaming like she was being killed. After Mum got her calmed down, she asked her what was scaring her. Sophia said the girl was in my bed playing with my hair. Did she say anything? Mum asked her. She wants to play with me, Sophia sniffled. She slept in bed with Mum for a few days and then went back to her own room. I couldn't help but remember the Ouija board Leah and I played with for years. Since then, the footsteps and voices were more active, but I never thought about it until then. Just a few weeks ago, I was at Mum's. My 2 aunts, my nana and Mum, and I were all in the basement going through things for our yard sale. No one else was home, the babies were playing with toys behind us, and the dog was asleep on the couch in the toy room. We each had our own bag of clothes to sort when out of nowhere we heard glass breaking, followed by what sounded like someone jumping up and down on the floor directly above us. Mum grabbed Sophia, I grabbed John, and we all ran upstairs, followed by Sasha the boxer. We looked in every room, every corner, and found nothing. No glass broken, nothing fallen. The only thing that was noticed was Sasha barking at the corner of the wall, and her fur was definitely raised. She eventually stopped, and we all went back downstairs. I have been afraid to stay home alone at my mum's since I was 13. I turned 20 in a couple of months and still won't, but I'm scared my Ouija board friend has followed me out of mum's and into my own house. Things move, disappear, show back up later, and at night things knock around in the kitchen. Trust me, I've checked for mice. We have none. I remember at night I had to go to bed by myself. My wife had to work until 1 AM. I don't remember what time it was, but the puppy started barking and had to go to the toilet. I took Dixie, my 2-month-old yellow lab, out. I had been back in bed for about 5 minutes waiting for Dixie to fall back asleep. I had my face under the pillow to block out the TV light. Like I said, I still sleep with the TV on. When I felt my husband's side of the bed sink in, I thought it was weird since I never heard his truck pull up. Her truck pull up. So out of instinct, I grabbed the pistol on my side of the bed and sat straight up. There was nothing there but a dent in the mattress. I stood up scared to death. That same time, the mattress flattened back out and the sheets unwrinkled without knowing what else to do. I said out loud, "Can you please stop? You are really scaring me." Nothing like that has happened since then. Just the normal banging around and the occasional door opening. Mom still has a lot of activity at her house, and unless we get a priest involved, I really don't see whatever it is terrorising us to stop.